for attending. My name is Mark Eveliens, and I'm part of the sales team here at OpsLogix. And I just want to take a minute to introduce all of our products quickly before Maarten takes it over. Okay, so who are we? We are OpsLogix. We make management packs. These are based on best practice Microsoft MP scenarios. That's to say, using the common engineering criteria, we ensure that all of our management packs are fully native. It's a single stop deployment. You import the management pack, you set up your connections, everything through SCOM, and then you're ready to go. The products that we have straight off the shelf are our Oracle MP and VMware MP. Now, both of these MPs have the distinguishing feature that they both make use of SCOM resource pooling, so they have a natural built-in redundancy in terms of monitoring and load balancing. And both the MPs are fully able to integrate into the CI perspective of Service Manager, meaning that you can auto-populate and update CMDBs or configuration management databases automatically with the use of the other tools within the System Center stack. Our Capacity MP is essentially exactly that. It's a reports MP that will do forecasting reports on everything in the SCOM data warehouse. Other products that we have, the BlackBerry MP. Again, that's more. It's everything to do with the BlackBerry Enterprise Server. Swift MP, which monitors the Swift Alliance gateway access lines, Swift Alliance gateway, Swift Alliance access, and ProView, which is essentially our relatively easy dashboard tool. It's completely based on Visio. You don't need a SharePoint, any sort of SharePoint infrastructure. You need simply, it's just you make the dashboards. You do have to make the dashboards in Visio. The authoring experience is through Visio on a single computer, and then you get a unique URL rose out of that, and you can show the dashboard on any screen, be it a phone or a 50-inch monitor or what have you. A few of our custom services, we've made MPs for IBM MQ, Glimpse, which is laboratory software, and Cloverleaf, which is the facilitary management software tool. And that brings me to the end of my small introduction. And Maarten, I'm going to hand over the ball to you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending this webcast, and thank you, Mark, for the great introduction. Everybody's on mute at this point in time. We'll take questions after the session, so if there's anything that you'd like to ask with regard to the session, let's make sure we answer them at the end of the session. The session's called What's New in System Center Operations Manager 2016 and Microsoft Operations Management Suite, or OMS in short. And so we'll give you a quick heads up of what's happening there and how it could benefit your organization. Again, my name is Maarten Goet from OpsLogix. I'm a Microsoft MVP, have been so for 9 years already, and currently also am a community regional director and work as a technical evangelist for OpsLogix. So let's quickly talk about business service monitoring before we dive into the what's new, so we're all on the same page. What you'd like to achieve with Operations Manager, of course, is a certain depth of monitoring so that you can control your business services. And it starts with component monitoring, where you look at individual servers or individual disks or individual other components, and you assess their health. And this is what you get, of course, by importing management packs, configuring them. You get alerts, you get monitors, you get rules, and you get information about the health state of these components. The next step is to monitor the applications on top of these components. So in my example, you have server 1 and 2. You'll have some web services running on top of them that you are now monitoring, and you want to assess a technical performance on, let's say, logon speed or other criteria, and you'd like to understand from application perspective. But the real level of monitoring that you'd want to achieve is the business service monitoring layer, BSM in short, where you take your business service, for instance, the company's internet banking services that are composed out of these apps and, of course, out of these components, And then you want to do some functional checks. Can I log on to the service? Does it respond in the way that we actually had discussed before? Now this is important because if we get this 3 levels of monitoring right, you see that we can assess the impact. Because if server 1 is red and its health is not healthy, we can actually directly see through dashboards and through other means whether or not a certain business service is impacted, and if in that case we have a priority problem. The other way around as well, if a business service on a dashboard colors red because it's not healthy functionally anymore, we can actually do a drill down into other dashboards and other views to understand which component or which app component is actually causing this. And this is where the ideal world of operations manager lives, where we want to try and achieve business service monitoring. Now, System Center Operations Manager, as you know, is the monitoring product within System Center that allows you to do a 360 degrees monitoring of your infrastructure, your applications, and the end user experience. It provides you with a consistent UI, where even if you're in external dashboards, whether you're in the console using the Microsoft views and what have you, you see the same information in a consistent way, but presented to you in the way that you need for the role and the persona that you are. And these 3 levels correspond to the business service monitoring. So the infrastructure monitoring helps you do monitoring of components, the app monitoring, and of course the end user experience to do the functional checks within the package so you can see the business services. Now, other key parts of Operations Manager, of course, are the synthetic transactions, where you can measure these end user experiences. We have the DevOps integration, where we actually, for instance, integrate with TFS and other systems, so development and operations can work together on one view. We have the .NET monitoring, which helps you do real deep application monitoring. Same goes for Java. In this point in time, Microsoft also provides you with Java APM. We have the dashboard framework, which we'll show in the demo, and of course the management packs, which make Operations Manager that valuable, because adding management packs and creating your own management packs allows you to monitor even more components within your infrastructure. And you see also now cloud monitoring through management packs that can monitor Azure or Office 365 or other services that you might be using today. So let's dive into what's new in Operations Manager 2016. Currently we're at Technical Preview 5, and it's expected for Operations Manager 2016 to become general available somewhere in the second half of this year. So this is based on the latest technical preview, and of course the caveat is some things might change, although the 5th milestone will certainly be the one that's helpful for assessing what will be coming general available. I'll mute, and there we go. So one of the key new things within Operations Manager 2016 are the management pack updates and recommendations. So what you get now is the capability to assess management packs, see which management pack is providing you with alerts, but also providing you with information whether or not you have components in your infrastructure that are not monitored. So let's say you have DNS servers, you're not having the DNS management pack installed. Operations Manager 2016 will actually show you that it would recommend you to import that management pack so you can monitor those components as well. It will also show you when you're not using the latest version of a management pack. It will assess that through the catalog and provide you with the information. The caveat is it will work for the management packs delivered by Microsoft that are now available through the MP catalog. It currently does not support third-party management packs, but again, you get information about using the latest version of the pack. Now, it does so directly from the operations console. So whenever you're using the ops console and you're in the administration page, That PC needs an internet connection because it will do the logic to detect whether or not you're using certain management pack and certain versions. And you can configure the frequency and control the discovery of those workloads using a PowerShell script. And we'll share the deck afterwards. Here's a link where you can find more information about this new capability. And again, we'll show it in the demo in a couple of minutes as well. Another great new function within OM 2016 is the alert data management. We all know the situation where we have a ton of alerts that we need to handle, and we really need to understand, is this a false positive? Is this an actionable alert? What is this, and how do we need to work with this? So what helps is that we have a couple of new items in the administration page, which will show you per management pack, for instance, the number of alerts that it had generated. It will actually give you the information about a monitor or rule that's generating a lot of alerts. So you can go in, look at the monitor or rule, do some changes, and then make sure that it's well tuned. It also gives you the sources which generated the alert, so which particular computer or component threw that alert for a couple of times. And you can filter the data for certain periods of time or other filters, so you can see information about those alerts generated. And it helps you, of course, make informed decisions on tuning those monitors and alerts and making sure that it's a well-tuned and well-functioning operations manager environment. Another great addition is that we can now extend the network monitoring. Ever since we got network monitoring in Operations Manager 2012, there was this ask where people want to add devices that might not be certified by Microsoft themselves, but you'd like to do some detailed monitoring, and you might have access to the MIB file, and you'd want to add that device in depth to Operations Manager. Well, in 2016, we'll get a tool that allows you to create a custom management pack based, of course, on the information you provide, for instance, through a MIB file. It will allow you to do some in-depth monitoring on things like utilization, such as processor, memory, and of course the network interfaces. It will then create all the monitoring workflows, so the monitors and rules, if you will, in Operations Manager. And in this case, we can actually enable you to add monitoring of that device in a more depth way than we could in the past. And the tool itself will generate the management pack. So you need to specify through an XML file all the information you got from the MIB, and then you generate the management pack, and the management pack can be imported into Operations Manager. So that's how it's going to work. Another great addition is the Nano server monitoring. It will be one of the new additions Microsoft's releasing for Windows Server 2016. It is the lightest, the most agile version of Windows Server, and we had to have some modifications to allow the agent to run. Now with 2016, you can discover a Nano server and push the compatible agent to the device through the console, of course, or through PowerShell or whatever automation you desire. It will allow you to monitor the basic operations, so the things that are provided through the Windows Server operating system management pack, but it also supports some of those workloads and roles that you can run on Nano. So IIS, clustering, DNS, and probably will get way more management packs after a Nano server is released. Another great thing is that it actually supports the audit collection services. So if you're using that today and you're doing security monitoring with Operations Manager, Nano server is certainly also a supported workload. Again, here's a link to TechNet with some more detailed information. And when you get the deck afterwards, you can dive in more if you want to understand what's happening there. Now, probably everybody knows that in Operations Manager 2007 R2, we got the ability to do Unix and Linux monitoring. And we got the ability to push an agent to that platform, get some basic information like the processor, the system events, what have you. But we had to rely on third parties to do Apache, MySQL, and all the other workloads. Now, what Microsoft is providing is a couple of new management packs that allow you to do full monitoring of the LAMP stack. And on top of that, we can run all sorts of new scripts, things like Python, Perl, and really use the scripts you might already have running today as part of identifying the health of those applications. Another ask Microsoft had was to store the run as accounts or the credentials for the Unix Linux machines in run as accounts, so that we now know that things are encrypted and saved, stored safely in the operations DB, which is the fact with 2016. And they worked on scale. So if you take the scale numbers that are applicable for Operations Manager 2012, you'll see that 2016 supports double the number of Linux servers per management server that we have had previously. And Microsoft switched from a technology called WS-MAN, and they're now using the async management infrastructure as part of the new agent and the new scaling numbers. Now, if you're going to use those management packs for MySQL, Apache, and what have you, you need to understand that there will be a module that will be installed on your Apache server as part of the discovery, as part of the pushing the agent. The module will do some in-depth analysis and provide the agent with information so that the Apache MP can do some really cool stuff. It monitors things like the Apache server itself, the virtual hosts, the certificates, what have you. And you can create your own rules and monitors on top of those if you need even more things to monitor. Now, especially for the certificates, it's interesting that there are a couple of monitors and rules out of the box that provide immediate value, things like a heads up when the certificates are going to expire, so you can handle it ahead of time. And there's also a couple of tasks, one of them being to reload the Apache server, and it also provides you with information on what's running on the Apache server. And Microsoft announced that after RTM, so after Operations Manager becomes generally available later this year, new management packs will be provided by Microsoft free of charge for monitoring workloads like MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, and what have you. Now, there's a great blog on the forsysops.com. I'm sorry, there we go again. There's a great blog on forsysops.com that you can check out if you'd like to see how things are installed, how it looks, and if you want to try it yourself today. Now, there's also, finally, you could say, the ability to schedule maintenance mode. Everybody knows there's third parties out there that do a great job, and you might have automated some stuff yourself through PowerShell, but there is now in the box a maintenance mode scheduling wizard, which allows you to put entities or groups of entities into maintenance mode at a future time. You can schedule that through a variety of scheduling options. You can pick with classes entities it will put into maintenance, and you have multiple schedules alongside as single schedules. You can view them from the operations console, and it's handy. It's something we probably should have had already in the past, but it's here now. Now, Microsoft is working with partners such as OpsLogix to look at how they can provide a link to our services in the console itself. It's called the Certified Partner Solutions pane. And if we go into administration, you'll see that certain partners that have been certified like ourselves are now directly available from the console. You can view the pack, you can click to the website and gain access. So that's a great thing, and certainly helps you as a customer identify which solutions are out there in the marketplace and which also have the certified brand that Microsoft desires. So let's dive into the demo. This is my environment. Again, it's TP5. It's an early build of Operations Manager 2016. It's running in a VM and a couple of agents installed, a couple of management packs installed. And when you look at the help about page, you see it's TP5. So everything's running 5. It's publicly available if you want to try it out yourself as well. We'll go into the administration pane, and you see a couple of things have changed. Under management packs, we now have new nodes, one of them being the tune management packs. And you see that I deliberately had those management packs generate a couple of alerts. And when we click identify management packs to tune, we can actually filter down on a certain period of time the number of alerts that it needs to filter on. And it gives you information in this case like, hey, the SQL Server monitoring pack or the VMware pack is providing you with alerts. Those are the ones you probably want to tune. These are the ones that actually at that point in time were open. They might be closed today, but they're open now. And you can override the monitor, apply a certain configuration, tune it, and make sure that your environment is healthy and functioning. So that's the tune part of the management pack. You can use that again to fine-tune your environment. If you look at updates and recommendations, you see it's connecting back into the MP catalog. It gets information about certain packs that are available. And it says, hey, there's updates available, but there's also something we found, a file server that's not being monitored because you don't have the pack installed. Do you want to get the MP? Do you want to update the MP? From here on, you can actually see what's happening and update it. We talked about the maintenance mode schedules. Again, found on the administration, we can click create, say we'll want to have one object only or maybe a couple of objects and their contained objects. Just like you do in other search panes, we can find things like the Windows Computer class, a single instance, say, well, everything needs to be put in maintenance daily, weekly, monthly, if you have a maintenance mode or maintenance window, I'm sorry. You can specify end times when the schedule expires and pretty much everything else. The category for the maintenance mode, whether or not it's planned, and whether or not the schedule is enabled if you want to use that. So that's the maintenance mode scheduling, which is awesome, of course. The other thing is the partner solutions we talked about. So our ping management pack, for instance, is already available there. We can get a link back into our website, say, hey, download the management pack for free, and you get a link directly from the operations console. And you'll see other partner solutions coming in there at a later point in time. Now, going back to monitoring, you see that everything's running. We have the active alerts, we have the Windows computers, our OpsLogix management packs are running fine, the VMware information is flowing, a couple of hosts that might have some problems that we need to investigate, and we have the dashboards that are active. So last 24 hours are doing well, we get the information, we see the health of our VMware environment. Same goes for the Oracle management pack. If you look at the diagram view, it's the Oracle instance that's running, and it's all healthy, and we can do a drill down all the way to databases, files on disk, table spaces, what have you. It's all running fine. Now, if we minimize the operations console, I quickly wanted to show you that these management packs for Apache, MySQL, etc. are available. They are still at TP2, but they're working fine. We can probably get some newer versions later on when things become general available, but these are provided to you as free of charge. Now, if you look at the dashboarding options in Operations Manager, there's a couple of things. You can use the inbox ones, but there's also the squared up option. Those guys deliver wonderful prefab dashboards. They work great with the OpsLogix products, where we see a VMware dashboard, where we see an Oracle dashboard, and you can work with the information consistently, again, the same way that we have that in Operations Manager itself, but through the web browser and through an integrated and prefabricated way. So that's certainly a dashboard option you can use. Now, if you want to do the business service monitoring, another option to consider is the OpsLogix ProView one. where you just take Visio like you know today. You create your visualization, say this is my services dashboard. Then you connect it back into Operations Manager. So we say Visio connect to Operations Manager. And we can add those health states on top of the Visio graphic. So we say, want to add a health state, looking for computer. Well, say Windows computer actually. They'll say next, it says, hey, we found an Operations Manager, VM. We'll deselect a couple of things, hit next, and say add, close it, and then we have a check mark, the health state from Operations Manager, which we can then map into our Visio. We can save it. It gets saved into the ProView storage, and now from Operations Console, you can actually just run that through the regular console like you used to, and we can use it as extended dashboarding for our business service monitoring. So those are a couple of options you can consider today. Now that's all great, and that's Ops Manager 2016, but I bet that you guys already heard about Operations Management Suite. And one of the things we saw in the last 15 years is that we need to manage more, right? We started with some desktop management, allowing you to deploy an operating system and manage some apps. We then had lots of server proliferation, so we needed tools to manage those servers. Virtualization came into play, we needed tools to handle that, and today it's very much the private and hybrid world where we're using cloud services and we need to monitor and manage those. So Microsoft came up with Operations Management Suite, or OMS in short, that extends on System Center. So you take your investment forward and apply OMS to it, and it allows you to do some heterogeneous monitoring on top of open platforms like Docker, like Amazon, very much tailored for the cloud and provide you with immediate value through solutions, much like management packs have today. Now, when you look at OMS, again, it is a cloud service. It lives in the cloud and it connects back into System Center. So System Center might be monitoring your Linux and VMware and Hyper-V and Windows infrastructure. It might be monitoring your storage, your network, but it will actually extend and provide you with capabilities on log analytics, automation, disaster recovery, and backup. Now it does so by connecting back into Operations Manager, so you can have a direct connection between your management group and OMS, but you can also use the direct connection to a VM. So if it's a Windows Server VM living in Amazon, we can just install the OMS agent, and from an OMS perspective, we can then see both the private world as well as the public world. And it supports lots of technologies like Azure Stack, like Hyper-V, VMware, OpenStack, Amazon, Azure, lots of things to monitor that. I quickly wanted to show you Operations Management Suite and also how OpsLogix extends OMS and how you can monitor things like Oracle and VMware using our great management packs today. So back into the environment, back into TP5, into the administration page, you see a Operations Management Suite node and you see a connection item. This is where we connect our OMS workspace. So we say, do we need a proxy server? And then we run through the wizard to connect that. And in this case, we see that the Ops Manager VM is connected and it's sending data from this management group into OMS. Now what we're going to do is we're going to log into our web browser, go to Microsoft, oms.microsoft.com. It is the URL for OMS. You get some overview information on what it does, how it works, etc., etc. And of course, there's the sign-in button. It prompts you for either your Azure AD credentials or your Windows Live ID based on how you enrolled. And then if you authenticate, you get logged into, I guess, the OMS overview pane. Very looks like the public Azure services. We see things like the tiles and those correspond with the solutions available in OMS. There's a settings page, and if we look at the connected data sources, we see that there's 5 servers connected directly, and there's 1 management group, the TP500, connected directly. So information is flowing both indirect and direct, and we can click on those and get a bit of a heads up on which computers are available. Going back to the home screen, there's the solutions gallery. And in the solutions gallery, it's much like management packs, where you get solutions that you can enable and that will light up in OMS. So things like wire data, network performance, but also cool new things like Docker containers, like Service Fabric, like Key Vault, that you can now monitor in a combination between System Center and OMS. And you can get some details on the solution, what they do. You can add them and understand what will happen if, what you'll monitor if you'll enable those. Again, going back to the home screen, quickly checking, for instance, the AD assessment we just saw from the store. It provides us with information. It says, well, most things are looking great. There's 2 things you can look at to remediate. For instance, something with the PDC emulator, and it gives you information on what's happening, how to remediate, which servers are affected, and some links to the technical articles. So really great, and really something we can use as extension to our current System Center environment. And same goes for the other item it detected in my environment. There's the SQL assessment one, which is great. Gives you with best practices of your environment. In my case, it's telling me you didn't do the backups for a long period in time. You might want to back up these databases because it's been already 7 days, and those things really help. And this is very much a health check that's run periodically, and it extends on the SQL management pack you have today. Another item is a change tracking. So we see I installed Visio on one of my VMs. It detects that. It saw ProView that was installed, and we can drill down and say, hey, who added it, when, on what computer, and why. So lots of capabilities that are not part of Operations Manager that you can take advantage of. And certainly the security and audit one is something we see highly interested in, is where, for instance, we can detect things that are not meant to be, so logons with clear text. And in this case, I forced it by logging onto my web server with a clear text. And it shows you like, hey, this is something you want to follow up with, and maybe get a bit of more information about the event that happened. Okay, going back. There's also the generic log search capability, where we say all this data that Operations Manager and OMS are collecting, I want to query through it and understand a couple of things that are happening. So we can say, well, we want to see performance. So type is perf, and you saw the IntelliSense. It helps you autocomplete and understand how to run a query. So we're filtered down on all the performance metrics, around 71,000 items in my database. And we want to drill down on VMware. And you get a couple of object and counter names to select from. So we'll say I want to see the processor time. And here we go, total. And we actually can click on the metrics tab, and we see a graph appearing about the utilization of my VM in VMware. And this is really made possible by the OpsLogix VMware Management Pack in my environment that sends data all the way to OMS, so you can understand your VMware health. We'll take another one, say we want to have all the VM CPU counters. And it gives us with a long, nice list of all the things happening. We'll select the average CPU time that we're interested in. And again, data is flowing between between OMS, and we can see VMware data in OMS and get an understanding of what's happening there. So all is working fine. We can save this query and say, well, this information we want to query back periodically, so we'll call that the VMware VM performance query. We'll save it, and we can go back to it later, so we don't need to retype the query. And we can also alert on it. So let's say a VMware VM has a utilization higher of 80%. We can get some thresholds. We can detect it for a certain period in time, and then based on the trigger, we can send emails, run a webhook, send it to your Slack, to Dirdac, to any environment you might have, or just run a runbook from Azure Automation as part of the remediation process. So lots of things happening in OMS that helps you do alerting based on this information. Now the other cool thing is if we go to connected accounts and we go actually to accounts, here we are, we can see that we can connect Power BI. So if you want to do advanced analytics, work with the data, for instance the VMware data, we can actually hook up our Power BI subscription. And in this case, I'm sending in the virtual machine data every 15 minutes, and it's successfully sending it. So we can then actually use that in Power BI. So what we'll do is we'll log on to powerbi.com. We need to sign in, of course. You need to have a subscription or get started for free. I'm using it as part of my Office 365 subscription. I'm authenticated. I go back to the left pane and you see the data sets. These are created by OMS. So the virtual machines data set, and on the right hand you see the fields that we can choose from. So we can say, well, we want to actually get the counter value, so the CPU time in our case, the computers, and we see, well, this is what is happening. We can change the type of visualization. I want to do a heat map. We'll select the heat map and we see, well, based on the heat map is that the vCenter appliance is certainly generating the most utilization. We can add a text box and say, well, we'll call this virtual machines heat map. There we go. Change it a bit, move it around. And then we have really quickly and really easily a dashboard, a heat map of our VMware environment. There we go. And we can actually work with those. Here we go, we'll pin it. Say I want to create a new dashboard, call it the heat map, pin, and on the left hand side you see a heat map dashboard. We can change some properties. We can say, well, we'll call this heat map VMware environment apply. And the great thing is that we can now also share it. So this dashboard can be used anywhere outside of Power BI, because one of the great things is that we can actually use it as HTML5. So you can say, here's the link, dashboard link, and what I'll do is I'll show you that you can actually again see that in Operations Manager 2016. We'll create in my workspace really quickly just a new folder called Power BI, and here under we'll create a web page view. We'll call that Virtual Machines Heat Map. Take this URL, hit OK, and we'll authenticate. We can of course also select keep signed in, so we're not prompted in the future. And here's the heat map again. So really quickly we can get a virtual machines heat map, use Power BI, use OMS in conjunction with System Center to gain information that you might not have today. So this is a great example on how to use this. So OMS, why should you consider OMS to extend System Center? Well, it's a single portal so that you can add your public cloud services and really see a 360 degree of every component. Quick time to value, as you just saw, easy to integrate. We saw that it's hybrid, open, all the way from VMware, Amazon, Docker, what have you, and it extends the investment you have today. So this is what I had prepared. I wanted to inspire you on 2016, on OMS, on our products, and I'll open it for questions if anybody wants to have a question.